Good morning, guys. Today we are talking about a very cool and iconic airsoft replica. This is the SIG SG-552, made by Cybergun, licensed to them by the Real Steel manufacturer Swiss Arms. The Real Steel version of this gun, as well as the airsoft version of this gun, are iconic in their own ways. The Real Steel version is in a whole host of movies and video games. It's the legendary SG from Counter-Strike. It's the Grau from Modern Warfare. It's everywhere, but it's kind of like a sleeper iconic, okay? Because a lot of people will know the outline of this gun, but they won't know the name of it like they would something like the MP5 or the M1911. In airsoft, it has a totally different kind of fame, or should I say infamy. SG-550 series of rifle was a very popular choice for cheap trash airsoft springers. I remember being a kid walking into Walmart or like a big box store, and I would always see an SG-550 type rifle, a spring version of it with like a shitty laser, a plastic scope, a plastic suppressor, and they would just be everywhere. And I feel as though I and maybe a lot of airsofters out there associated the look of this gun with that quality, and that's definitely not the case for this replica right here. So let's talk about this replica tip to butt like many other YouTubers like to do on this platform. So up top we have a very basic muzzle device, and underneath is 14mm negative threads, so you can mount your basic mock suppressors or tracer units on this thing with no problem. Moving down, we have the handguard, and this replica actually has two choices of handguards. You have this metal one that I have, and then a plastic, more basic one. It's kind of crazy, but it's $25 more to get the metal one over the plastic one. And I don't know how to feel about it, but I did buy the metal one because I thought it looked cooler. But I actually think I got it on sale, which this gun goes on sale pretty often. So I don't think I paid that much more for it. But the handguard being where the battery goes is probably the worst thing about this gun, because there is little to no space inside this handguard. Taking it apart, you can see it's very fidgety to take apart, and inside is like no space for the battery. You know what I'm saying? When you put it back together, you have to be very careful not to catch the wire or anything, because you will rip the wire and then effectively breaking your airsoft gun, which would definitely suck. Despite that design flaw, after a little bit of use, like, I was able to get pretty good at putting this handguard together and taking it off. Plus, I kind of like wore it in a little bit, so it's definitely not as bad as it was when I first bought it. Moving up to the top, you have this little QD rail, which is actually accurate to the real steel version of this gun. It comes off with just one screw right here, and it's pretty cool because you can just unscrew it and take off the entire rail with the scope on it. So moving down to the receiver, you have the charging handle, which I am not a fan of this charging handle. It's definitely not very cool. But inside, you open it to reveal the hop-up, and it's just a very basic hop-up, you know, nothing special. The receiver itself is made of a cheaper end plastic, but it's still very durable, but it's not to the same quality as something like the PP Bison from the last video, right? But and by the way, guys, this is painted. It did not come like this. I actually painted it this pattern. After I painted it, it actually made the gun itself feel of higher quality than it did before. I don't know if it was just like the texture of the plastic that made it feel cheap, but it definitely feels of higher quality now. Inside this thing, you have a version 3 gearbox, which is okay. It usually gets me around 350 to 360 FPS, so it's pretty good for outdoor fields, and maybe it's good for some indoor fields. One last thing about the receiver of this thing is that it has a ambidextrous safety, so, you know, for you guys that are left-handed, you know, you could use this thing no problem. Moving down to the trigger and hand grip, the trigger actually has this cool little feature that the Real Steel version of this thing has, which is it could flip left and right, which in real life is designed for if you're wearing very thick gloves. You know, the Swiss, it snows over there, so they got to have this feature on their gun. The trigger itself is like very, I describe it as thick. It's not bad, it's not good, but it's just like, it feels thick. I don't know how to explain it any better, but it's not bad, it's just different. The handguard, it's pretty quality. Like, I want to say it's bad. It feels very sturdy. and you know, I like it. So it has this little paddle release magazine, which is pretty cool. You could do your little stylized AK reloads with this thing, but the magazine it comes with is terrible. This right here is not the magazine it comes with. This is the magazine it comes with, and this thing is terrible. It is crappy plastic, and when you put it in there, it's like very wobbly, but it works, but it just sucks. Okay, so if you pick this thing up, consider investing in some better mid caps like these ones I have right here. Another cool little funny thing about the magazines is if you could stick them all together, and you could either like store them easier, or you could just like put them on the gun, load them in, and it kind of looks funny. I don't know. So some cliff notes about this thing: it's heavy. It's like weirdly heavy. Like it's not like so heavy that's like you get tired holding it, but it's just like you definitely feel that it's heavier than like the average airsoft gun. It's comes in at 6 pounds, or 2.5 kilos for you Europeans out there, and it's not that far off the real steel version of this gun. So I think what gives it this way is the gearbox itself plus the barrel. Another thing about this gun is that it comes in two versions. There is the regular AEG version, and then there is an electric blowback version if you're into that. And the thing about the electric blowback version is that it comes with a full metal receiver, which I wish was an option for just the regular AEG, because I would have definitely purchased it, but it's not, and it's kind of weird. Guys, full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by Evike, Cybergun, Swiss Arms, or anybody else for that fact. I'm simply reviewing this thing because I want to, and I think it's cool to do so. That being said, if you want to pick this thing up, you can find it online for $170. But as I said earlier, it does usually go on sale a lot, so you can find it for significantly cheaper. On a scale of trash to super high quality, I would say that this thing is of quality. And honestly, it's a very good deal for what you're getting. I personally like it, and I feel like this would be probably something for someone that likes airsoft guns that are a little more unique and a little more different than the average airsoft gun that you get. But yeah, guys, that's basically it. Make sure you do all the things. You hit the like and subscribe, etc. One of my favorite YouTubers, Grantham, says this: if you're not fit, you're gonna die. And you know, that's true, but obviously in airsoft the stakes aren't that high, so it's more like, if you're not fit, you're not gonna have fun. Listen, if you're already going out there and playing airsoft, you already have an inclination towards working out and outdoor activities, so just lean into it a little more. Give yourself a calorie budget. Maybe go to the gym here and there. As someone who has lost a lot of weight this year and used to be very big, I can tell you that these little things, they add up in the long run. And on top of getting in better shape and just feeling all around better, you'll have more fun playing airsoft. You'll be able to play for longer. You'll be able to be more physical when you do so. But it can only start with you, and no one else can do it for you. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks again for watching this video, and have a good one.